Okay, so this is my first home brew video. Well, I've done one before, but this was on the initial system first, the first go. So today I'm going to brew a pale ale recipe I put together myself. I'll give you the recipe if you're interested. But anyway, I'll just give you a quick rundown of my system and show you what it consists of. Okay, so this is my HLT. It's pretty basic. Still a work in progress. A temperature probe down here. It's supposed to be 80 litres, but I measured it out 70 odd, 75. Got a 2200 watt kicking element in there. Yeah, I know some people have had some issues with them, but mine's been bloody brilliant. I've got two PID controllers here. One for the HLT, one for the heat exchanger. Here's my heat exchanger down here with it's got about 6 meters of copper in it. Just a element out of a kettle. Inlet down the bottom, outlet at the top with a temperature probe that's hooked up to the PID controller. This is my mash tun. It's what I put together. I designed it myself, so I had some zero dead space. So basically cut the bottom ring off it and used a spear to create some legs and weld them to it. So I got a socket welded to the bottom and put an elbow on, obviously, with just a ball valve at the bottom. I've got a analog thermostat there. The lid off the missus pot and the false bottom in the bottom. Pretty basic stuff. There's the inlet there that provides a recirculation. Got a pump down the bottom here. It's got a bit of an out there manifold I put together on it, but yeah, it works for me. And here's my boil kettle. It's a 70 litre boil kettle. Just got two 2200 watt kettle elements just out of a big W kettle, inspired by a gash slug. Actually, a lot of this he's given me a lot of help with, so forever thankful for his input. Top bloke, and always there to answer any questions. So I've got a bit of a I just used what I had to put that together. Put that bazooka screen there, and I drilled out the brass fitting so I could run that bit of copper right down into it. And yeah, this is the first time I'm going to be using like this, so try and get some of the rubbish, leave the junk in there and out of the fermenter. We'll see how that goes today. Looks like I've measured it out. I'll get two litres of leftover water in there as a trial. So anyway, I'll go and what I've got today is I had 70 odd litres in there, and I've just run some I always put some hot water through the system before I use it. Just ran it through while I was getting the kids ready for school, and through the pump, made sure everything was clean. There's always gets a little bit of rubbish out of there, even though no matter how much I seem to clean it, when I finish I get some rubbish out of it. So this is the temperature. Software says that that's what I need my temperature to be at to get into 64.5 degree strike temperature. With this recipe, I've normally used a protein rest. It's the first time I'm not going to do it, and see if there's any considerable difference. So yeah, I got my grains, just under 10 kilos of grain. I got all my gear from Steve at Hoppy Days in Brisbane here. Bloody top bloke. Delivered to my door on a Sunday. Can't beat service for that. So what I do with the grain is I put it in and I underlet. I'm going to try and do this two-handed, which could be a bit of a mission. One-handed, so hold on a sec. Yeah, grain going into the mash tun. Gets pretty exciting. Okay, so all the grains in the mash tun. Now I'm going to switch some hoses around. I've got 50 litres on the market there. It calls for like 27 litres, so I'll put a little clamp on there and measure it out. And yeah, I'm not too anal about this. Spot on measurements, around about's good enough for me, as long as I get consistency. That's all I'm after. So just swap some hoses around, and I'm going to underlet and hopefully hit my strike temperature. Okay, so 50 litres, we go 10, 20, yeah, it's about 26, 27 litres there, good enough for me. Now I'm going to run it down just through gravity, through this, through the pump. I'm not going to use a pump, through this hose and into the bottom and underlet. So just open that up, let gravity take over, and it'll slowly drain down. I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, underletting, you can see the water's just come back through the top of the grain bed there. It's come up from underneath. It's probably taken, I don't know, didn't time it, but probably less than 10 minutes. Nice and slowly, I find the best way to go. Make sure you get all the air out of it. Any don't get any lumps or dough balls in there doing it that way. Still got another few litres to go. Turn on my heat exchanger as well. You can probably hear that heating up. Yeah, I got that set to 64.5, so we'll see how that works out and what our temperature going to come up to there. So I calibrated these temperature probes and this analog Keeking thermometer, and they're both well, they're both within pretty accurate enough for me anyway. So the heat exchanger loses probably half a degree through the travel and heat loss through the system, so I just adjust that accordingly. Okay, sight glass is down to the 26.5 litre mark. I'm just going to give it a bit of a stir up in here, just to mix it all through. And then I'll leave that sit for a few minutes, and then I'll start recirculation at some stage when I'm happy. Now I just open this up, run some into there, do that a few times till I get the grain bed settled nicely. You can see all that junk in there coming through. I don't have any issues with it going through the pump. Probably not desirable, but yeah, as I say, I've never had any issues. Okay, so just turn the pump on. I'm just going to crack this a little bit just till I get a bit of flow going through there. And you can see it's pushing out the water that was in the heat exchanger. I'm happy with that. It starts coming through nice and clear within a few minutes. So we're going for 64.5 degrees. This is just about there. I think looks like the software got us within reason anyway. 64.5. Looks like it's just creeping up a little bit there. 65, so I'm happy with that. Happy where it is at the moment. And that's it, just circulating around the top of the mash tun there. So never had any issues with channeling or anything. I had a bit of concern there when I first started doing this, and oh, there goes the dog. Yeah, this is fucking dogs. Okay, so once we're happy with that, hour on the timer. Yeah, come back in an hour. Anyway, we're about 10 minutes into the mash. Thought I'd just come back and say, let's just overshot by half a degree. 64.5 is what I wanted. We're going to 65. I don't think it's any different. The difference is going to be negligible, really. So I just tamed that back down to 64, and yeah. Anyway, that's what you get on these days when half a degree here or there. I'm not too bothered. You can see it's cleared up nicely there. Beautiful, smells awesome. Okay, so we've finished our mash. Our HLT's at our mash out at 70. Oh no, actually not mash out, but that's what I'm going to fly sparge with at 77. It says to fly sparge with 48 litres. So I'll just show you the wort. It's cleared up beautifully in there. Smells delicious, tastes delicious. I got a first runnings of 1073 roundabout. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is this pump I've got here. I'm going to start pumping out of the bottom of the mash tun. Get my finger right through the pump and up into the boil kettle. At the same time, I'm going to fly sparge. I'm going to take this this one here off the pump, and we're going to connect it into the bottom of the heat exchanger there. And gravity's just going to take that up through the heat exchanger and over the top into the wort. A bit of a juggling act trying to get it to flow right, just a little bit at a time. As it gets down to the bottom of the mashed HLT there, it does start to slow down considerably with the gravity sort of dropping off. So I have bypassed it and just gone straight into there sometimes as well. So I just want to run it through the heat exchanger. So as it's going to, hot water's going to go through there, or the water out of the HLT through the heat exchanger is going to clean it and wash any residual wort out. So I'm going to get onto that now, and once I get it going, I'll show a bit more. Okay, so the water's now coming from the HLT through that hose, through the heat exchanger, through the coil, back up over into the top of the mash bin. We've also got it coming out of here. Oh, there's my finger. Through the pump. That ball valve's just cracked a little bit, just restricting the flow, so I can try and balance it. And that's it, run it into the bottom of the kettle there. Yeah, a bit of a juggling act. Ideally, I could try to do this over, I'd say 40 minutes. 45 minutes. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Yeah, one thing I just want to point out is look how clear that is. That's like, it's like just, yeah, beautiful. The advantage of having a heat exchanger, or a Herms to run through and filter that, all the junk out of it comes through crystal clear. Let's see if I can get it that clear into the fermenter, then I'll be happy. So just got above the elements there, and what I normally do is chuck in my 60-minute additions, or my first additions as fresh wort, first wort hops, and then I turn the element on as soon as it's covered, so we can just save a bit of time. So yeah, that's what I've done now. I'm going to go ahead and turn the element on. Okay, element on. So one of these elements is just straight into the power socket. Yeah, don't judge me. But yeah, I did have a cover on it, but it started to leak, and that's just a temporary fix I've got for it. The other one's got a cover. I've also got a just a little thing in there that can just turn it up and down, and the just control one element with that, so it doesn't boil over, and just control the rigor of one element. And I find with these two elements I get to a boil enough time for me, and if I leave them both on full tit, that yeah, it does boils just a bit too hard for my liking. Okay, so I literally just put the timer on to see how long it actually did take to fly sparge. We've still got a little bit longer to go to get down to the top of that clamp that I put on there. And as you can see, the boil kettle's getting up there as well, so I'm going to get 65 litres in this 70 litre pot. Could be a bit bit dodgy there, but yeah, it's going pretty well. It takes its time. There's no rush with this, especially when you fly sparging. It's you want to get all those grains, all the sugars rinsed from those grains as much as you can. Okay, so that took an hour. Can you see that? An hour. Up nice and full in the boil kettle there. I've got both elements going, and we should be yeah, getting to a boil very soon. I just try and get the gravity. The estimated pre-boil gravity was 1035. Whoa, where are we going here? Look out. 1035, close enough for me. So all we do, hope it doesn't boil over, and yeah, boil for an hour. Anyway, I've just done the Whirlpool hop additions. Yeah, there's some Nelson, some Amarillo, some Willamette, and I think some Hallertau Blanc, however you say it. Anyway, that's just around about 82 degrees at the moment, so I'm just going to let that sit and put the lid back on. I'll let that sit for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to put it through the chiller and into the fermenter. So it's going through the chiller into the fermenter. There's my hop trob cone there, or trube. I can show you that. Just a real light, gentle whirlpool. I did a whirl flop. It turned out about 18 minutes before the boil. I'll let it go a little bit longer. Going through a counterflow chiller. A bit of a leak there. And into the big fermenter. Hopefully I get 55 litres. So I got just bang on 55 litres. I'm happy with that. I let it dispense out of a 50 litre keg and I get a bit of waste. And probably could have got a bit more there, but I'm happy with that. Happy with how that new screen worked, and yeah, left a lot of the junk in there, and it's considerably clearer going into the fermenter than what I've previously had. So yeah, good results all around. Pre-boil, a post-boil gravity of 1039, and we're going for an ABV of about 4.1. So I'll give you an update on the outcome when it's finished. Cheers. So I've got the fermenter in the fermenting fridge. I've got actually a stainless steel probe where the temperature probe goes down into. There's a starter up there. Not sure I'm going to use that. The word I used for that starter was some second runnings of a previous batch, but I never boiled it, so it's got another 10 degrees to come down to get to where I need to. So yeah, I'm not sure on that. Yeah, so anyway, that was the next day now. I've pitched the yeast, and yeah, let's see what happens in a few days. Hopefully that ferments out to about 1008. I think that's what I reckon the attenuation I'll get. Anyway, if you can see any potential flaws in my system, or if you can see that suggest any improvements so I can make my beer a bit better, yeah, please let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.